Executive of Cheshire East Council. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's conference. Where do you see some key steps over the next 6 to 12 months in terms of reducing health inequalities?
Well, today's been absolutely fabulous, I'll say that first. We've never actually got everybody together in one room before, and the level of interest has far exceeded my expectations, so clearly we've got a really good partnership already before we move forward. Work over the next 6 to 12 months, well, there are huge national changes coming on board for all of us, with an increased role for local authorities, which I think we're ideally placed to move forward on, given our influence in lots of the social determinants of health. So moving forward, we need to deliver what the government expects of us over the next 6 to 12 months in terms of transfer of public health and working together. But from today, we've issued what we're calling a call for action, where we're encouraging all partners to sign up to our Living Well in Cheshire East joint venture. And what we need to do, I think, is build on today, get everybody together again, and actually get some tangible progress in all of this. Because we started with the words today, we need to move forward with the actions.
The actions. At the end of your speech, you said that you very often don't get the chance to be the lead on something. You've identified that health inequality is something you'll be passionate and willing to be the lead on. So
absolutely, it's actually something I've always been very passionate about, and looking at because it's so clear it isn't just the PCT's business, it isn't just the NHS's business, it's everybody's business, which is a bit of a hackney phrase, but I genuinely believe that to be true because there are so many things impacting.
And we've had an excellent turnout for the elected members today, which a number of the speakers have been very impressed that we've had elected members in the room. Do you see the elected member becoming health inequality champion, Cheshire East?
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, so we've already got the portfolio holder, Councillor Knowles, who's really committed anyway. They are already starting work through the local area partnerships, the elected members, so they're already well on that journey. We're doing individual training with them, but yes, very committed with members coming in today.
Well, Erica, thank you very much.
So Lucia, you lead for adult services in the local authority, Cheshire East Council.
Yes.
So an interesting morning.
Very much so, yes. It's very stimulating. Lots of diverse content in terms of theoretical and practical examples. Great focus on well-being and living. I like the 5 points from the first speaker as being key issues for people to actually sustain their health and well-being, which was essential. Learning being one of the main things, being connected to your community, having social networks, and some of those just automatically stick in your head, which is really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think are the biggest challenges facing adult social services in the future?
The biggest challenges, I think, for Cheshire East are our older ageing population, and looking at how we can support communities to support older people, and how we can devolve our commissioning into communities to empower communities to commission for the services that they feel are the most
specific to them.
Yes.
Which actually feeds into what I think it was Trevor said, don't do for communities what they can do for themselves.
That's right.
And I absolutely fundamentally believe in that principle. And it's really encouraging that you're thinking along those lines. One of our partners from the third sector, who I've also interviewed, said that partnership working is as key today as it's ever been, perhaps even more so.
Absolutely. I think you'll have heard a lot around total place and place-based budgeting, which is focusing on the money that the statutory organisations hold. We know we're living in a very difficult time economically. We can make a significant difference by actually connecting our available statutory resource and skills and expertise, and working collaboratively in local communities. That's the only way we're going to really make a true and significant difference with the people in those communities.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Lucia. Thank you. You've seen the presentation this morning, so from the speakers this morning, what do you feel has had the biggest impact on you as the Director for Children's Services in Cheshire East?
I was delighted to hear Mike Brady's presentation. I thought that was very powerful. and lots in there that I think for us to take away really. There is an evidence base. I've seen it and I've been part of things in my previous career experiences. And that connecting at a local level I think is a critical issue for us. I think we can make progress in the face of quite significant changes and challenges ahead. Financially we accept that. But I think we do have a vibrant third sector and community sector in parts of our borough. I think the challenge will be how we join up some of the statutory agencies to be more effective in terms of addressing children and family needs earlier, tackling, and that will get us into those issues of tackling racial and educational inequalities, and then putting youngsters on the stronger path to stronger pathways. So Mike's makes so.
And I think the thing that struck me was the reference to parenting and the impact that parenting has on a child's ability, because school played a part, but actually outside of school is big influence. So what locally do you think that we can do to support that?
We are developing some parenting programmes, and certainly from sort of children's services perspective, so we are looking to sort of buy providers in to develop those, deliver those on our behalf. I do think we've got to get better at connecting our maternity services, our GP practices and our children's centres with our early years settings, and then seeing some of that connectivity transfer through with our schools as the youngsters get older, I have to say. But I think we've got the resources available to us to do that. I think it's how we connect it together that's the key issue for us.
Excellent, thank you very much. Councillor Knowles, it's been a really interesting morning and the presentations have been very informative and diverse in some of the articulation. So as the portfolio holder for health and wellbeing for Cheshire East, what has come out today that's made the biggest impact on you?
I think what's come out for me is I think that all the partners and all the people we work with, we're all aiming for one aim, and that is to sort of bring about the ability of get rid of health inequalities. We're all aiming at the same thing. We all want people to have good, have jobs, good housing, healthy lives, and to do that, we must make sure that we as a council bring our part to the table. And as I mentioned very early on, my things is we've got these facilities like leisure centres, we've got parks, we've got ranger services, we've got great libraries. Open those up, use those so people can go out there, keep fit, mix with people, people with mental health. What's better than going on a beautiful walk in somewhere in our countryside? So we must bring those to the table, and if everybody brings their bit to the table, then we really can make a huge impact into this awful health inequalities that we find that we have.
What did you think about the asset-based model that was presented today?
What I quite liked about the asset, it was slightly different. I mean, it was obviously, I quite like the idea, whenever we've gone in the past to deal with, say, smoking in an area where there's a lot of it, we've gone to those people who are smoking. Instead of going to someone who doesn't, say, now, why is it that you don't smoke and that person does? What was it that helped you, or did you never smoke? Try and learn from that and go back and say to that other person, look, this is why he doesn't smoke, this happens, and he gets a better, sort of way forward. And it's not just the smoking. You could go about, well, why are some people going to the gym in the poorest area and keeping fit and interested in that, and some aren't? And again, I think it's an excellent move. I think it's a different way of doing things. And it's like anything, you have a kind of shopping list of things to do, and you should use them all to get the end result.
Absolutely. I think the thing that stood out for me was understanding the need behind people's behaviour. We know what people do. What we don't really understand is why they choose to behave the way they do.
And if someone is depressed and they're just sitting at home and they're eating and getting overweight, the fact that they might be in there is because they can't get a job. It's pointless trying to tell them how to lose weight when the issue is, I want to get a job, I want to have a reason to get up in the morning. So we've got to think, okay, we have a team at the council, it's called Regeneration Team. Let's go and get more businesses in. Okay, so let's get the companies in to give these people the jobs.
It's that whole picture, isn't it? It's that whole. So there's lots of work to do. And I'm sure you look forward to leading on the agenda moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. I think what's great now is it's not just one person going alone. It's a group of people going together, walking at the same pace, and all inputting and doing it. And it's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Councillor Flood, a really interesting morning this morning.
Extremely interesting. Very interesting to see the new way of thinking about the new participation between health and social care and the voluntary sector. I've obviously got some concerns about funding and the way things are gone, particularly for for the voluntary sector, when we see local authorities with sort of 28% cuts in the overall budgets and things, we don't want to see we want to see the voluntary sector growing, and within the voluntary sector you've got to have the right funding, because volunteers need to be insured, volunteers need to be managed, volunteers need that support to actually get out and do what we would like them to do, and it's the way we integrate all that across the whole sector. So major changes, but some of them very good and very much focusing on the right things today.
Yeah, of course, and that role of the volunteer within that big society agenda, absolutely crucial. I think one of the things that struck me was when Trevor spoke about neighbours coming in at lunchtime and giving his father food, and that it wasn't just about the food, it was about that interaction. So we need more of that. We need to embrace that agenda and really embed it in our communities.
You do, and I think that's important in some in some areas. Obviously you've got that neighbourly thing where people have lived together in a community over a long period of time, but where you've got areas of serious deprivation, where people are struggling themselves to survive through unemployment and many health difficulties, that interaction is more difficult. I think neighbours would call in, but not necessarily to bring food. And it's about how you keep that interaction going. Because in middle class areas and in villages, that happens. It's how you actually bring that interaction in areas where you haven't got it at present, where people are struggling.
Yeah.
To survive, where there's been huge demographic changes. One of my wars is a massive demographic change, because huge influence of people who've come to work here from Eastern Europe. So a lot of elderly people are becoming very isolated in pockets of housing, surrounded by multiple occupancy, either by students from university or by people from Eastern Europe and other areas that have come to work in those areas. So you do see major changes, and when in those changes, sometimes older people can lose that contact that they've always had. So we need to make sure that we make sure that those other communities actually become involved in possibly in some of the things that are our way of life, which they've not necessarily had to really come from.
So there's lots of work to do.
Yes.
There's lots of, and I presume yourself and all the other councillors will be signing up to the statement of intent.
The Labour group will definitely sign up to the statement of intent.
Excellent.